dun, 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 dun. Icónica.
If one man struggles, the entire team struggles.
I think that's what it's all about, embracing change.
Same team!
Being brave.
Murray's going nuts.
When you imagine a coach, what do you see? Is it maybe a whistle? A loud voice? Is it a presence that dominates the room? So we have this preconcept notion that authority is somehow theatrical. It's like gruff, cutting edge, it's aggressive, it's something to be almost afraid of. But I want to give you another perspective, a perspective about influence. And influence is something else. Influence is not about who speaks the loudest. It's about who shifts the emotional temperature of the room. That's why Ted Lasso is so unsettling at first. Because he doesn't look powerful, he doesn't assert his dominance. He doesn't assert his dominance in a locker room full of powerful players. And he doesn't intimidate. Yet, slowly, the entire locker room begins to worship him. And not because he controls them, but because he regulates them. To give you another example, while watching Running Point, which is about a woman stepping in the leadership of a sports company, I can see something else. Because, like Ted Lasso, she doesn't have immediate authority. She has to negotiate influence. And that difference really matters. Because while authority is a sign, influence is built. And this is why this video belongs in this series. Because with my first one, I spoke about systems of power. And in the second one, I spoke about internal responsibility. This is the third layer. So what you do when power is finally in your hands? Do you perform it? Or you embody it? Here's the part that I don't say easily, but I think I need to say it for the sake of this video. I didn't grow up knowing how to defend myself. Not physically, not verbally. I remember being young, in school, in practices, in work environment, and feeling something was unfair and staying quiet. You know why? Because I didn't want to look dramatic. I didn't want to look crazy. I didn't want to look emotional. There's a specific fear of speaking up as a woman. You're not just defending an idea, you're risking your self-image. And that fear may follow you onto leadership. When I started coaching, I was afraid of being too harsh, too intense, just too much. But I was also afraid of being dismissed and not taken seriously. So you're just walking that line constantly. That's why Ted Lasso feels so radical. He's not afraid of being emotional. And that's why Running Point feels honest. Because she's not just managing strategy, she's managing perception. So I can say that leadership is not just about decisions, it's about emotional risk. For me, leadership was not about if I was able to do it. It was about if I could stay my ground without explaining myself. And sometimes just for existing. And if you ask me, that's a deeper battle than tactics. There's a shift that happens, but it doesn't happen because I was more confident. It happened because I was more emotional stable. It happened when I could put myself in their shoes. I could be on their level because I also was in that role. I also had leaders, coaches, bosses that were just not my cup of tea. And I knew what they needed from me. That fine line between a friend and a boss. And when I was consistent with my attitude, when I could just stay my ground, confidence exploded. Stability was assured. I realized that leadership is not about deserving the room, it's about stabilizing the room. And what does that mean? It means that when an athlete is anxious, you don't absorb that anxiety. If there's tension, you don't escalate it. If someone challenges you, you don't react impulsively. You slow down, you lower your voice instead of raising it. You make decisions without justifying it. That's influence, and that's what that does. It doesn't dominate the room, it shifts his nervous system. And in Running Point, you see that dynamic in a higher level. Power isn't loud, it's composed. It's intimidating without even saying a word. I stopped wanting to be respected immediately and starting to build respect slowly. And paradoxically, that's when people start to listen. There's a very funny scene in How I Met Your Mother where Ted, also the same name, not the same character, is teaching for the first time and he was thinking about what style of professor he wants to be. He wants to be a friend, he wants to be mean, he wants to be the cool guy. But he realizes that he can't predict how his students going to see him. He can only decide how he shows up. And leadership is exactly that. You can't control whether people like you. You can't control if they misinterpret you. You can only decide, am I consistent? Am I clear? Am I fair? I stopped trying to defend myself. Something changed. Athletes tested me less. Conversations became clear. Silence in the room stopped feeling threatening. He started feeling strong. And the most funny thing about this is I felt like I wasn't performing anymore. I was just leading. We're doing a lot of things, doing a lot of sports, having a lot of teachers. I learned what I don't want to be. I learned what styles didn't function. And teaching different sports taught me different things. Because being a swimming coach taught me about patience. You can't just scream at somebody to improve their technique. You correct, you demonstrate, and you repeat day after day after day. Being a yoga teacher taught me about presence, about being in the moment, breathing deeply and staying grounded. If I'm scattered, the room is scattered. Being a personal trainer taught me about boundaries. You need to push, but you can't just humiliate the person. You demand effort, but you need to protect their dignity. And for me, that's the beauty of leadership. It's not dominance, it's stewardship. It's holding space strong enough so people can grow in it. Russia taught me about external systems of power. Bhagavad Gita taught me about internal responsibility. And Ted Lasso and Running Point taught me something more simpler. That leadership is not about controlling everybody, it's about regulation. Because the most powerful leaders I know, they don't dominate the room, they steady it. And that's the kind of leader I chose to be.
One player triumphs, we all triumph, right? Woo!